Good morning, everyone. Luke with Premium Aquatics here. Thanks for stopping by. This week has been extremely eventful for me. I got the pleasure of going to the hospital for a kidney stone and still waiting to pass it. So, hooray for me. Don't let everyone fool you about the pain being as much as going into labor. But it hurts. It hurts a lot, actually. So I've got pain medicine coursing through me until I get that taken care of. But good news is that it's the weekend. That's the good news. So we'll get to relax. Monday is my son Avery's birthday, so we'll celebrate tomorrow with a chili cookout and an outdoor movie on a projector. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So I've got that to look forward and get ready for. It's been an eventful week. Football is starting. Let's go Broncos. I wanted to get this video out and show you what I'm doing. Because I did go down for a little bit, I have not been able to get everything I need to set this up, but I wanted to open up, show you what we're going to do, and then next week I'll get all the parts to finally assemble it and I'll show it to you. So without further ado, let's get this opened up. As always, we need our handy dandy knife and this box, and we'll open it up. What I have here today is going to be the Santa Monica's Hog 1.3. And what this is an algae scrubber. So what this is going to do, basically, it'll set up on my sump. It has an internal portion and an external portion. The outside has LEDs in it, which will shine onto the inside, and I'll show you here. And basically, it's what's going to create algae. It's going to create algae on the inside and take up nutrients that are being put into the system. So, for instance, the Hog 1.3 is able to handle nutrients from, if you're feeding 1 1/3 cube per day, or I think it says 13 pinches of flake fish food, I think it says 3.6 grams of dry pellets. So it's basically able to absorb nutrients that you're going to be putting in the system. So if I'm feeding 1 1/3 cubes every single day, I have no worries because this hog is going to be taking care of it. I was going to do this whole thing where I was going to start a hog roast and show you out on the pit, but I have not been feeling great, so I didn't have time to do that, but and this week was smoked turkey, actually, which was delicious. But anyway, so what we have here is our instruction booklet, our little advertisement pamphlet to show you about the other versions. They do have quite a few different models. The Rain series, which will sit on top and drain, it'll cascade over this little canvas and create algae. They have a float system, which actually just floats inside on top of your water. And then we have the Hog series, which this is an external version, and this is the 1.3. They have several different sizes, from 0.5 all the way up to 3. But this is basically what we're looking at here. This is the Hog. They are a little bit large, simply because of the nature of what we're doing with it. I'll take this apart here real quick for you and show you all what we're looking at. So this right here, this is what's going on the inside of the aquarium. This is going to be suctioned to the front panel of my sump with the Bash C. Since it's all blacked out with the gray around the sides, I can't put it on the sides or anything like that, which would be kind of nice. And I didn't think about this when we got this from Santa Monica, and thank you for them for providing this for us. So it'll go on the front side. And what this is a really coarse, large surface area for the algae to grow on, and has tons of nooks and crannies for that algae to grab onto and start growing again. So on the back here is some airline tubing. You do need an air pump with this. I think they recommend at least 2 liters per hour. So you need a decent sized air pump. You can go as large as you want, but just keep in mind, the larger you go, the louder that air pump is with that diaphragm going up and down. So I would suggest probably just getting around what they recommend and going with that. That way you don't add a lot of noise into your system. So that's the inside part. And then for the external part, basically all it is the same size. So on the outside here we have our magnets. So it magnets to the outside, and then we have 2 3-watt red LEDs with our power adapter, and this is just going to sit on the outside so that it shines the red inside for the algae to grow. Here we have a piece of fabric that is to shade part of it, so that way it's not going full intense with these new LEDs in your system. The instructions do say that technically on the 1.3 you don't really need to utilize it, but on the larger units you definitely want to use this shade cloth to introduce it slowly so you're not going crazy with it. I'll probably play around with it. What I need to do is I'm going to set it up here for you where we'll talk about a little bit what this can do, and then next week I don't have an air pump to get in, so I need to get an air pump, and then we'll get this finally assembled. I think I actually may see if this is going to fit on the overflow box, because that would be kind of a nice place to put it. It's a little bit further up so I can inspect it, but we'll see how that works out. So for the sake of showing you how this is going to set up here, I'll just put it on the tank just to give you an idea of here. But this air line is going to come out the top where you'll connect up to your air pump, and then what it'll do is the air will go inside and then come in through the bottom here and let the air pass over everything. So like I said, this is magnets, so be very careful as always with anything magnetized so you do not either one put them together and can't get them loose. These are plastic housing, so if you do stick them together, don't just yank them apart because you could bend that plastic. Instead twist them so that they come apart. But they rate this magnets for anywhere from 1/4 inch to up to 5/8, anything different. If it is smaller than 1/4 inch, just be really careful when you're putting this on a system, because you don't want to break your glass obviously or crack it or anything of that nature. So basically this is all there is to it. It's really an easy setup. That's one of these nice things, is this is extremely easy to set up. I have the black cloth here and what you're supposed to do with it, and it's nice. They actually give these little pieces of paper, almost like fortune cookie papers, and they attach to each little piece and tell you what you're doing with it. So even if you don't want to read the instruction manual, you got those little bits. But this is basically, you're going to cover half of the LEDs with this unit. So all I'm going to have to do is pull off the top part, and slide that in there so it's covering the top LED here is basically what I'm going to do. And then as algae starts growing on that white ceramic that I showed you inside, we'll just yank this cloth and it'll run as normal. So I'll plug this in so you can see what it looks like. This unit can be ran 120 volt or 240, so those of you that are international, you can utilize this. Obviously you'll just have to use an adapter. So I've got it plugged in here. You actually can't tell anything. I'll pull this off so you can actually see the lights, but it'll probably tint the aquarium a little bit red. I've got so many lights on in the background here, so it's probably washing a little bit of it out, but essentially this is all there is to it. And just so you can see here what we're looking at, I'll try and open it up without having it move, but essentially we have our two LEDs here, two red LEDs that are lit up and shining onto the surface. At this point, it's not going to do a whole lot for me as far as exporting nutrients, because I'm not really feeding. I don't have any fish or anything going on in here, so right now it'll just kind of help keep things basically at bay, so I don't get too over, it'll keep the rocks clean, everything like that. I'm excited to have this and see what it does. I'm not going to have a lot of results yet, but as we get fish, which will be here shortly, we'll be able to really see the results in here. And what I'll do is, as the algae is growing on the inside, I'll start taking some photos, taking some videos, and showing you just how it produces results here and what it's doing for the system. One thing to keep in mind is with this, it does need to be cleaned out every 7 to 14 days. Take off the outside portion. As you can see, the LEDs here, we'll just cover those up. But basically, I would take that out, pull this unit out carefully so algae doesn't go everywhere, and we'll just take it to the sink. We'll take a toothbrush, a used one. If you want to do a really mean trick to your husband or to your wife, you can use theirs, but I don't recommend it, so don't do it. I will not be held liable. But basically, you just go along, brush it softly. You may lose a few of these particles just at the beginning. That's just normal for that, but you'll brush it off, get that algae out of there, clean it out, and then we'll go back and install it again. Really easy, really simple to do, and for what it provides you, I highly recommend taking a look at it. And again, I'll give you more results as time goes, but I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to set it up in the overflow box. I'd rather have it up there where I can a little bit more periodically check on it instead of having to bend down and do it in here. I'll get that set up, and then next week we'll get the air pump and we'll get this thing rocking and we'll start showing you results. On the LED light, they do recommend not going 24 hours. So they recommend starting at 18 hours a day and then adjusting that accordingly to how your system does and how the algae grows, but you don't want to go over that 22 mark. So that is another thing to keep in mind. So you will need a timer for the LEDs and then a air pump for the entire system. I'll put a link in the description as always, so go check it out. There are a lot of different models available. So if you have a smaller system, there's a smaller model. If you have a larger system, you can do a larger unit. It all depends on what you're feeding. That's really what it comes down to. Instead of the size of your system, it comes down to what you're feeding. So go check it out, take a look at it. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go rest some more. You guys have a great weekend. If you haven't, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell for notifications so you get the most up to date on this system as well as our other videos. And I'll see you next week.